my father had rheumatoid arthritis in his hands, and I hope and pray that I don't get that, but I'm certainly in the line of heredity as far as getting it. I can get it. His was very bad. His was very crippling and stuff, even though the beautiful woodwork that he did and stuff. So let's just come in where the cat is in front here and cut. There we go. And make a cut, and then we can sort of bring the ears out like this, in other words. Okay, now the ears will, this is the tricky part. This is the part you're really going to have to be careful with, especially on smaller work. If you want to cut the ears down where they're flatter, in other words, you want to be very, very careful and not put a lot of pressure on it, because they can break very easily. Because actually the ears kind of come up like this, let's see. So you make a lot of little cuts is what you do. Ears are sort of like that, in other words. See how they're at a little, at their little bit of angle where they come up like that, and they come out like that, and then they come up like that. See, where the ears are that way, and then you behind here you want to and then you make a little cut behind here and just a little bit behind here, sort of give that indication of the back portion of the ears right there, in other words where they are. And then I like to keep the ears as thin as I possibly can, because they're not that thick, but you just want to be careful that you don't put too much pressure on them, just like that, and that you run into, okay, there you go. And then you want to come here and just sort of scoop this area out right in here. In other words, where the cat is. Now there are different types of cats. I mean, I know people, well, I don't, I do this cat and I do that cat. Well, yeah, I understand that. And there are different types of cats and they have different ways. But we're just looking at a shelf sitter here. We're not looking at to make the cat a specific type of cat or anything like that, in other words. Okay? We're just looking at how they go. So let's come down here and just slowly divide those front feet a little bit. We want to be able to make them where they are, and let's take this down a little bit, because those feet are just going to be a little bit, and this is where you got to be careful. Okay. And then kind of, like I said, take your time. Don't let hurry get you. And you see how I just drag my knife? My knife is sharp enough that I just drag it. See that? Let me cut a little bit in here to move that. And let me come here and just cut a little bit more right in here. Get that so we get a little bit more room between the front feet and the back feet. And like I said, you want to be careful. Don't get rambunctious. Don't try to get too crazy about things. Now let's go ahead and bring this back, this tail back. It's still too thick, still way too thick, and it's going to have to be brought down quite a bit. So let's go ahead and work on this, especially this area in here. Be careful. I mean, don't get in a hurry. But I mean, I'm sorry, we kind of getting, see that? See, now the tail is getting to the point where it's starting to look much thinner, much better, and we okay, see that? Much better, much clearer. On this side. I'm making that a little bit, just dividing those things in there. See how I just drag my knife? Now on a bigger piece, you don't have to do that as much. In other words, I'm working with smaller pieces here, so it definitely is a, we want to bring this down a little bit more. It's in here. And I'm just cutting in between here. It's just a V cut that I'm doing in between here. Soon be Easter, folks. We're sailing right along with 2024. Gosh, what a day. What a year, and what a... I wish blessings on each and every person in here and just watching, and on your family. I want to make this a little bit more defined right in here, where it has more of a shape. Yeah. So now we're going to come up here and just sort of bring this straight across like that. There we go. Now we can make a decision on what we want to do. I think in my situation, I might just get some pins and make him some eyes is what I'm going to do, rather than necessarily, since he's a shelf sitter, he doesn't have to be such an extraordinary piece. Now, one of the things is for the ears, we want the triangle inside the ears with him. And what you do is you take your finger and you put it behind there and you put a little pressure. Not a lot, but you just put that and you cut that little triangle out right there. Now you can do this with a V-tool. Let me get my V-tool and show you how you can do this with a V-tool. Okay, if I can find my V-tool. I know it's in there. There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Let me show you. You simply take your V-tool and you just just takes it out just as easy as can be. And but keep your finger behind that thing for steadiness. Not only for steadiness, but for strength. And it won't break on you. I mean, you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on it. Take your knife and kind of cut this open right here. Okay. And you have to kind of come back with your knife and cut that little section out of there. You can do it with a knife or with a V-tool. It doesn't matter how it's done. Come over here a little bit, and there you go. And cut those little sections out on it. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry too much about necessarily I'm just going to make a little cut right here. Okay? And I'm going to make a little cut right here. Okay. And we're just going to kind of make that the nose area for him. And then you just come back and make a little cut like that, in other words. There you go. We'll go ahead and let's just cut it down like that. Let me cut some more, making that like that. And cut that down. Let me take my V tool. There we go. I just took my V tool right there and kind of pushed it up. V tool right there and kind of pushed it up, in other words. Be real careful. If it's a small miniature, be real careful along in there and stuff. Actually, that nose is a little bit too big. You don't want it that big for a kitty cat. Any kind of a cat. Okay. That's still a little bit too big. There we go. Now that's more like it. That's more like it. Okay. Now let's just sort of, as we go along here, just sort of shape this and get this tail back down again just a little bit more, because the tail's not real strong. Okay. Just making the tail a little bit more. Okay, let's see. Kind of put this all together. We'll take out, whoops. Take out a little bit more in the front here. Give it a little bit more shape. See how, look, see how I put my, when I go to do that, I'll put my finger up underneath those feet. That's to keep from, if I do put a little too much pressure, it won't break the feet, in other words. All you do is use your finger as kind of a, or your thumb as kind of a help for the situation, and it's something that we're just going to kind of do some little cuts in there just to give it kind of that look. Okay, just like that. And you, if you want to, you can go ahead and we'll go ahead and separate the feet right there. We're not going to go all the way with it, but just to give it a form of separation in that area to make it look like that we're, you know, that we're doing that, in other words. Sorry. Here we go. But since it sits on a shelf like that, it's not all that noticeable as far as how that works. Okay. Let's bring this down just a little bit. And let's just kind of bring that kind of at a thing right there. The same thing here. Just kind of bring that down. And see if we can't kind of cut just a little bit more from the center point here. Divide that up just a little bit, and then we'll take our V-tool and we'll go down with it just a little bit, okay? Digging it out just. There we go. We're just about through with him, in other words. And what I'll probably do is paint him a solid color also. I'm not going to really get into the painting aspect of doing because as a shelf sitter, I mean, you can, a lot of people just paint the can white or do something like that, but there we are. Just want to bring that nose down just a little bit too big. And if you want to put